My name is Barry A. Cohen.
I'm Doretha Edgecombe.
My name is Eric Newman.
Alex Lang.
Verna Ortiz Bartlett.
It was probably about 1964, and I was involved with them for a few years. Of course, we weren't big sisters at that time. We were big brothers.
Became big brother at 72. A year or two later, I joined the board.
I'm the widow of George Edgecombe, Judge George Edgecombe, who was a board member back in the 1970s.
We had a lot of great guys on the board, successful people. Lee Moffitt, H. Lee Moffitt Hospital, president board. Then he became Speaker of the House.
We were still living in a somewhat Jim Crow segregated society. And I think George might have been the first African American on the Big Brothers Big Sisters board. I think he must have met people and established relationships with people like Barry Cohen and Eric Newman and others. And Lee Moffitt, in fact, Lee and George were very, very good friends. Lee sometimes attributes to the fact that he worked as hard for the hospital because George at the time had been diagnosed with leukemia, and he wanted a place locally where people could go for treatment. These were men who were able to see beyond color and circumstances and that kind of thing. They had a bond, and there was this strong sense of fairness and giving back to the community.
1975, we had fell into tough times because we were always raising money, and we could never raise enough money. Tampa Bay Rowdies came to town. We got 15 cents out of every program they sold for $1. We didn't make that much money because the little brothers would sometimes give the wrong change, but we were still there. 15 cents gross, not net gross on each program. And we had a rival in the area called Big Sisters. They wanted some money too, so they met with the Tampa Bay Rowdies and they undercut us. They said, we'll do the same thing for 10 cents a program. Son of a gun, they took our concession away. We were mad as a hornet's nest. I guess in the late 70s, we got the hammer from the United Way. They wanted to avoid some of the duplications in the Tampa community. So we were forced to merge with a bunch of folks that we didn't care for. But you know what? I don't think they cared for us. They were a bunch of women there, with a bunch of guys there, and it turned out the greatest thing that ever happened to us. Because while we were great talking the talk, just like I'm talking to you, but the Big Sisters 35 years ago, they would walk the walk.
I started with Big Brothers Big Sisters as a half of a big couple. My husband and I were matched with our little brother back in 1995. I happened to have stumbled across an article in the newspaper about Big Brothers Big Sisters looking for bigs for a new program they were starting, which was called Project Care. It was a program that was matching littles that were either infected or affected by the AIDS or HIV virus. Our little brother was he was not infected, he was affected because his father had died the year before we were matched. I'm intimately acquainted with what this organization's impact is on children in the community. I don't think our little brother would be where he is today if it hadn't been for his match with my husband and I. We were matched with him till he graduated from high school. He's still very much in our life. We get as much out of this as bigs as the littles do. And it's always talked about how the littles are impacted by these matches, but Kyle is a family member now. I gained a son that I will never have because of this program. So when I look at it that way, we bigs gain a lot from this as well.
Back when I was running for the school board for the very first time, I was on a Sunday afternoon, really, really tired, and I was putting out signs. And a young man stopped and he walked up to me. He says, "Are you Mrs. Edgecombe?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You probably don't remember me, but your husband was my big brother." And it just really made my day. First of all, that he had such fond memories of George, and he was confident enough to come to say hello.
Scott and I have been such great friends. He's in his late 40s now. He gave me the greatest honor when he became a father about 9 or 10 years ago. He named his son after me. His name is Scott Mallard, so his son is Eric Mallard after me. We see him every couple of years. I can't think of a greater honor to bestow upon anyone.
Well, I think my dad would just be so proud and so touched by how it's moved forward, how it was an organization that started with two people, a secretary and my dad, and now is an organization that is really looked up to in the community, does such wonderful work, touching thousands of lives every year. Knowing that he was a part of creating those success stories, he would be so thankful that somebody picked up the torch when he had to drop it. And when he passed in '87, I just think he would just be completely overwhelmed.